Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our weekly Subspace Developer Sync. I will go ahead and start off with highlights for the week, which we did have a few. We successfully rolled out Gemini 3C to all of our ambassadors this week. Hopefully, we'll continue this rollout with the broader community this week. There'll be more details on this to come from VED, but I think a major milestone was reached with our cross-domain messaging. I was able to do this live on and it's working on DevNet, was able to do it with Polkadot.js. So great work, guys. That's a big milestone. Another kind of highlight from the week is that we do have a DevOps engineer signed and starting in 1 week. So that's been a lot of effort from those who've been involved in the interviewing process and going through a lot of iterations there. So that's great to finally have coming to completion. Last week, with me more specifically, I spent more time making progress on the handbook. I posted links if anybody's interested in kind of seeing where that's at. Also, I appreciate I saw some other contributions to the handbook as well, so it's great to see. And I spent quite a bit of time also working on our kind of hiring process, structured interviewing improvements that will be hopefully rolling out in the next quarter or so. This week, be preparing for the DevOps hire. Actually, I have quite a few interviews for other open roles and continue to work on the handbook. I do have a joke this week, and it was generated by ChatGPT, though I think I've seen it elsewhere, and it's kind of better visually, but I think I can pull it off without it. So why do programmers get Halloween and Christmas mixed up? Stefano's laughing. Do you know this one?
It's because the base for the number.
Oct 31.
It.
Oct 31 equals death 25. So, all right. With that, we can go ahead and move on. Nazar.
Hello, everyone. Last week was quite productive. I mostly was working with Chia proof of space, which is written in C++, but we need it in Rust. So I was changing that to not write things to disk, but rather work in memory. And from that, I have done some simplifications and obtained basically an FFI in C that can be used from Rust. And right now I'm in the middle of the process of actually wrapping that into Rust Crate. And once that is done, this week I'll be working on finishing that in form of pull requests in the monorepo, where we will have those primitives exposed and available for building further the version 2.3 consensus. And with the ratio coding, that should be most of the primitives we will require. So that's basically full steam ahead with 2.3 from that point.
Great. Samil, how are things coming?
Last week, I was able to finally merge a long-lasting verifiable block imports PR that allows experimental feature that allows verifications that blocks that we imported from DSN are actually valid. Also, I finished a segment reconstruction PR that allows recover missing pieces, and made small progress on alternative piece announcements. This week, I will mostly be focusing on the DSN stability, performance, and other issues that we have. So I will mostly analyzing and debugging the network. That's it.
Raul.
Yeah, so last week I was working on the block relay project. So as the first item, I've been working on creating the alternate block relay download path. And I have most of the coding done, and I'm trying to test it out. And I'm running into an issue with libp2p where Substrate tries to send the request response message out, and libp2p silently fails it and returns an error, and it doesn't actually give an error code or anything. So I don't know why it's failing. So that's what I'm working on right now, trying to figure out what's going on. So once that is resolved, we should be able to do like block download from this alternate path. So right now, the way I'm testing is like I have both the old path and new paths working in parallel. So once I'm able to get this new path working, I will stop the block announcements in the old path so that we can completely switch to the new path. So that's it.
Great. Lu Chang.
Yeah, last week the primary focus was on the fault proof. A tracking issue for the fault proof development has been created on GitHub. The first step was to refactor the fraud proof structure to include all kinds of the frauds, which had been done. The second step is to revamp the existing invalid state transition proof, which has two tasks. The first task has been completed. The focus of this week is to finish the second task and start the implementation of like invalid transaction proof. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Ning.
Hi guys. For us, we are primarily working on the domain testing frameworks, and we have made some progress on that. I have integrated the existing executor tag with the new testing frameworks, and all the broken free key and ignored executor tag are now fixed. Previously on the main branch, this tag will take about like 20 to 100 seconds for running, and now the time is reduced to about 3 seconds for running this tag. And I also add some more utility to the favors for help us to construct some test case. And the primary goal this week is also continue to work on the testing frameworks. I will publish the code and open more PR to push this chain to move into the main branch. And also, I will working on adding some more missing executing text to the code with the new testing framework. That will be my update.
Nice work. That's pretty exciting to see coming along. So. Ved.
Hey everyone. Last week mostly was getting the XDM up and running, deployed on DevNet. That's pretty much working there. If you haven't tried it, please give it a shot. Um, then there were a few infra-related discussions with Jeremy and Nazar, and continuing on that this week. Some of the focus would be on infra. I do see some easier things that we could just handle. So I'm getting those up. Example would be DNS. On note on that, if you have used or updated DNS records, I might be reaching out to you to get some more details on that. On the protocol side, start some preliminary work on pilot exits. We haven't had a chance to get started on that. So that's pretty much it for me.
Right. Parth.
Yeah, so last week we had a discussion on the Ethereum Light Client PR that we had, and decided that instead of maintaining fork, we should thinking about alternatives. So I'm looking at multiple alternative. The preferred one from open source point of view is merge change into upstream and just reference it. In that, I've been looking at the latest changes that has been done in Snowfork and decided on which area I should be pushing the first PR, as well as trying to make the constant generics work in Rust. It works, but it utilizes several unstable feature in progress, and there are some invasive changes. The other two alternative are copy the Snowfork palette with minor changes and reference the Snowfork palette. This week's primary goal is basically try to get the resolution on this. To be honest, I'm blocked on this, and I have a small meeting with NSR later today to discuss the same.
All right. Switch over to product. I believe Stefano's the lone product representative this week. Natasha and Serge are out. So.
Well, there are Ivan and Ozgun, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I will cover.
Forgot you guys.
Yes. No worries. So last week progress, I think the biggest one is that we have a product spec for the CLI. We have 12 initiatives in the pipeline. I think we have enough to cover the next 3-4 months of work at least. Also, we did a pair of sessions for high-level product design for the Gemini 3D in the Explorer, because as everyone knows here, we have some key differences in the domain management. I was also working with Subwallet to integrate the Gemini 3C. I have a zip file ready for testing. I will hand it off to the team internally and also to the community. It's a binary that you have to add to Chrome, similar to the application, but you need the developer mode enabled. And also, this is more like upward facing. I have a first release of the 2023 product roadmap, which is more of a checklist of things that I think we need to be ready to launch, essentially, to a larger public. This week, primary goal, I want to close the loop on CLI and Explorer initiatives. CLI needs to be prioritized. The Explorer, I will do a similar brainstorming. Since Serge is out, I will probably have to move to the next week. And the other important goal is that I want to have the Explorer live in a soft launch on March 15th. So in 2 days, I believe we will have our Explorer running on Gemini 3C. It will also host some of the Gemini 2A transactions and history. I'm actually blocking myself on the account page. So there is a design initiative to improve the account page on the Explorer. I'm blocking myself because I have so many other initiatives that I'm not clearing the design decisions. The idea there is to improve the usability of the Explorer for farmers and see better rewards. That's it for me. How do you want me to proceed, Jeremy? Because I have information from Serge. Oh, sorry, you were muted, but I suppose yes.
Yes.
So Serge did a lot of work on refactoring bug fixes. He also, I have here, he's working on calculating the rewards via the block author. So he's building a part of the backend for the Explorer that is essentially counting how many blocks an address generated, and this will be part of the initiative to improve the usability of the Explorer for farmers. Another important piece of work, I'm just jumping back and forth, is that we have a new monitoring tool. We are using also a dashboard from Datadog, and we are working to be more reliable when we measure the performance and the availability of the services. So that will be more on the status page, not really on the Explorer. No blockers, and he will be out of office this week. Natasha today couldn't join. She worked a lot on the Explorer, moving toward the March 15 launch. I think the most important release is that now we have a URL with the network, so you can see which network you're searching on. And that actually cascades to a lot of micro adjustments, including the search bar and the Explorer remembering which network you were using and so on. She also was working on some reliability on the Explorer, because sometimes when the window was open for a long time, it was getting stale and it wasn't working anymore. So She's also working on this backend. And will be also one of her primary goals for this week. The definition is test the OS protection policy from the squid to resolve the stale network error. Phew.
All right. Not forgotten, Yvonne.
Yeah, sure. So last week I was mainly working on the supporting Gemini 3C and fixing the reporting bugs. For example, I fixed a bug reported by Jeremy related to there was a funny bug related to the setting the max subscriptions per connection to 0 for a PC. So that didn't allow anyone to connect to a PC node by default. So I fixed that. Also, I fixed bugs which were reported by Iwan and Daria. Yeah, apart from that, also updated the SDK to reflect all the configuration changes introduced by Nazar. So apart from that, also finalized PR that ensures that Node and Farmer actually exit. Yeah, and apart from that, I introduced some regression for Osgan. So I fixed also that. Also reworked CI a bit, so it would be a bit faster. So apart from that, I'll simplify SDK a bit, and also important changes for the DevNet, and I'm testing that right now. So this week, I want to test DevNet and test that all the domains will be working. Apart from that, I still think that there might be some changes and I mean some issues with SDK, so I plan to fix them. And also, in the meantime, work on the memory issues related to the PartyDB, long-standing ones. So yeah, so that our node and farmer can benefit of that. Yeah, that's it in my end.
All right. Quite a bit lot going on last week. Ozgen.
Hi everyone. We published a new release of CLI last week for our ambassadors. We revamped the config, so now it will be more simple for the users to understand what's going on in the config toml file, and we made it more flexible, and we had some great discussions on it with Ivan. And I re-implemented the executor option flag. Previously, it was supplied to the init command. Now I made it supplied to the farm command, and there are some other changes required related to that config revamp. So it was re-implemented, that executor option flag. I tested the new setup, found a minor bug in the SDK, and it was quickly fixed. Now it's fine. I also found another bug. I don't know if it's related to SDK or monorepo, seems like a low-level one. This is related to executor. The last time I tried to run a node with CLI, it was fine, but when I was trying to run it with executor setting on, it was crashing. I will retry to produce that error because it might be no longer valid when I update the SDK revision. I'm not at the most up-to-date revision, so that's why I didn't submit any issue, but I will submit an issue if this issue persists with the up-to-date revision of the SDK. I also inspected Discord's linked roles for Justin and Frejik, so we are planning to have some better integration with the community. This week, I will try to complete the integration between CLI and SDK's final revision, and also implement a new feature for users to supply advanced settings to config so that they can override substrate defaults. This was, again, a discussion with Ivan. So, for example, the last week's bug Jeremy faced could be easily fixed if you had that option. So in the future, it will be useful for hot fixes and also for debugging. And I will also test the CLI for too many open files bug, which Ivan faced. I believe this is also no longer valid after SDK's some PRs merged, and I don't have any blockers, so that's it on my end.
All right. Justin.
everybody. On my end, last week we had the community call with Nazar and Jeremiah answering all of the community's questions. I was also working on the Discord node integration, as Oscar mentioned with him, and I'm also working on a wallet integration side on my half. We also had Gemini Stage 2, and obviously I was spending a lot of time supporting the ambassadors with that as well. Moving into this week, my primary goal is going to be getting a minimum viable product working of the Discord node integration with Ozgun, working on documentation updates regarding some of our builds and sources discussions and some other updates that will be going out as we make progress on Gemini. Obviously preparing for Gemini Stage 3, and I'll also be trying to make progress on our localization effort. I'm trying to move that initiative forward a little bit as well. Beyond that, there's some other operational things I was going to help start to get the wheels rolling on in regards to like Bitward and some of other initiatives that have kind of been in waiting. No current blockers on my end other than that. Thank you.
All right. Did I miss anybody? Anything, any last comments, thoughts before we close the call? All right. Well, we will see everyone back next week.